Chaos magic challenges everything we know about spirituality and the occult. While many traditions follow strict rituals and unyielding dogmas, this practice subverts the rules by adopting a pragmatic and adaptable approach, where any belief can be used and discarded as needed. There are no fixed guidelines, only one ultimate goal: the manifestation of will. This characteristic makes it one of the most powerful and, at the same time, most controversial forms of magic. Unlike other esoteric paths, chaos magic molds itself to the practitioner, not the other way around, allowing reality to be manipulated by the power of the mind. But how safe can this freedom to create one's own beliefs and modify reality really be? Emerging in England in the 1970s, chaos magic was a rebellious response to the formalism of traditional esoteric practices, such as ceremonial magic and Wicca. Its main creators, Peter J. Carroll and Ray Sherwin, sought to break away from established dogmas and create a system where the practitioner could experiment freely, without being tied to complex rituals and rigid hierarchies. The central principle of this philosophy is the idea that reality is not fixed, but can be shaped by the power of intention and the flexibility of beliefs. The origin of this approach has roots in the thinking of iconic figures in occultism, such as Aleister Crowley, who argued that human will is the key to altering reality. However, it was Austin Osman Speier who truly defined the foundations of chaos magic, introducing the concept of sigils, symbols that store the practitioner's desires, functioning as portals to the subconscious. Speier believed that true magic comes from the unconscious mind and that sigils were the key to accessing this hidden power. In 1978, Peter J. Carroll published Liber Null, one of the foundational texts of chaos magic. In the book, he proposes the revolutionary idea that all beliefs are mere tools, which can be temporarily adopted to achieve a goal and then discarded without consequence. This means the practitioner can adopt any belief, even contradictory ones, for as long as needed to achieve a desired result. This approach breaks all traditional occult norms and frees the magician from the limitations imposed by fixed belief systems. However, this freedom comes at a price. The absence of a clear ethical code makes chaos magic a dangerous and controversial field. Many more traditional occultists, such as practitioners of ceremonial magic or Wicca, criticize this path for not imposing moral restrictions, allowing anyone to use its principles for selfish and manipulative purposes. If there are no rules, what stops someone from using this practice to exploit others or feed their own limitless ambitions? This is one of the most debated issues about chaos magic and what makes it such a misunderstood practice. Over the years, chaos magic has evolved and continues to be relevant precisely because of its adaptability. While other esoteric traditions require years of study and commitment to rigid rules, this system allows the practitioner to discover for themselves what works best for them. This appeal has led more and more spiritual seekers to abandon conventional traditions and adopt chaos magic as a personal path of experimentation. However, this extreme freedom can also become a trap. By completely rejecting traditional structures, the practitioner risks losing control of their intentions and creating true chaos in their own life. To what extent is it worth sacrificing the security of structure for total freedom? This dilemma haunts many chaos magicians who must find a balance between autonomy and responsibility. The rise of chaos magic reflects not only changes in the esoteric world, but also profound social and cultural transformations. In the 1970s, a time marked by revolutions and questioning, this practice emerged as an expression of the spirit of the times, challenging norms established in both politics and spirituality. Just as the punk movement rejected musical conventions, Chaos Magick rejected the rigidity of traditional occultism, proposing a more individualistic and experimental approach. Today, this path continues to attract people seeking to explore spirituality without the restrictions of any specific tradition. Instead of following gurus or masters, chaos magicians become their own guides, trusting their personal experiences as the most legitimate source of knowledge. But does this approach really grant power, or merely deceive those who practice it? In the end, chaos magick is a mirror of the magician's own mind, and like any powerful tool, it can be both a key to liberation and a path to perdition. The flexibility and adaptability of chaos magick make it especially attractive in a world where spirituality has become fluid and personalized. Many seek paths that resonate with their individuality, rejecting rigid dogmas and traditions that do not represent them. However, this same freedom also imposes challenges. The practice requires a high level of self-awareness and personal responsibility. Those who believe that chaos magick is an easy shortcut to manipulate reality without consequences are mistaken. On the contrary, this path requires not only an open mind, but also a deep understanding of one's desires and intentions. Without this clarity, the practitioner risks losing themselves in their own illusions, falling into traps they have created. After all, what happens when someone indiscriminately manipulates their own perception of reality? The essence of chaos magick lies in questioning what we consider real. If beliefs are just tools, then reality itself can be shaped by the mind. But are we really prepared to deal with the consequences of reshaping our inner world? One of the core practices within this path is the use of sigils, which function as a bridge to the subconscious. The concept behind them is simple, but the impact can be profound. The practitioner starts by writing a statement of desire, something they wish to manifest in their life. Then, the phrase is reduced, removing repeated letters, until only a set of essential symbols remains. These elements are then rearranged into an abstract design, which no longer resembles words, but contains the essence of the original intention. The true power of the sigil lies in the act of forgetting it after its creation. Once charged with emotional energy, the sigil must be released from the conscious mind. But why is forgetting so crucial? The subconscious operates beyond rational control. When the sigil ceases to be an active thought, it crosses the barrier of the conscious mind and begins to operate on a deeper level, subtly but powerfully influencing reality. The activation process can occur in various ways, and each practitioner finds the method that resonates most with them. Some use altered states of consciousness, like deep meditation or trance, while others turn to emotional and physical stimuli, such as dancing, singing, or even sexual practices, channeling energy to imbue the sigil with manifestation force. Despite its apparent simplicity, the use of sigils is extremely effective because the subconscious does not adhere to the same rational barriers as the conscious mind. It does not question, does not doubt, simply acts. In this way, sigils become a way to bypass internal blockages, directly accessing the hidden potential of the mind to transform intention into reality. However, this practice also carries risks. Many beginners start by using sigils for small desires, like finding a lost object or attracting favorable coincidences. But as they gain confidence, they may be tempted to use them to manipulate complex events or influence other people. And here arises an ethical dilemma. To what extent is it acceptable to alter someone else's reality without consent? Chaos magick, with its lack of a rigid moral code, grants the practitioner almost unlimited freedom. For some, this is empowering, a way to explore the full potential of the mind and reality. For others, this freedom can become dangerous terrain, leading to manipulations that trigger unpredictable repercussions. After all, when we try to control what we do not fully understand, we risk losing control. A sigil created to ensure professional success might end up generating burnout or health problems if the practitioner does not consider the side effects of their intention. This leads us to an important reflection. Are we really prepared to handle all the consequences of our realized desires? Another fascinating aspect of sigils is their connection to art and creative expression. Many practitioners see the creation of sigils as an artistic and ritualistic process. The act of drawing and customizing a sigil becomes an extension of the intention itself, a way to materialize the desire on a symbolic level. Thus, art ceases to be just aesthetic and becomes a means to access hidden parts of the psyche, bringing to light forces that would otherwise remain dormant. Over time, Chaos Magick has evolved and adapted to new technologies. Today, many practitioners use digital methods to create and activate sigils. Software, algorithms, and even artificial intelligence are employed to generate complex sigil designs, expanding the possibilities of this practice
If
beyond
technology can
traditional
amplify
boundaries.
our ability to shape
This
reality,
raises a
how
new
far can we
question.
go before losing control over what we create? Chaos Magick adapts to cultural and technological transformations, remaining relevant and powerful even in the digital world. But what do sigils really teach us about the nature of reality? The practice suggests that the universe is, in part, shaped by our perception and the energy we invest in our intentions. If reality can be altered simply by changing our way of thinking and feeling, how much of what we perceive is nothing more than a construct of our mind? This reflection leads many practitioners to an intense journey of self-knowledge and spiritual exploration. Despite its apparent simplicity, the practice of sigils invites us to question what reality really is and how our mind may hold the key to shaping it. But are we prepared to take on this creative power and deal with the consequences of manipulating our own existence? One of the most provocative features of Chaos Magick is its challenging approach to traditional spiritual laws, such as karma and the triple return law. In many esoteric traditions, karma is seen as an inevitable force that ensures every action generates an equivalent consequence. In Wicca, for example, the triple law suggests that any energy sent into the universe, positive or negative, returns to the sender threefold. These ideas function as moral principles that encourage ethical behavior and spiritual responsibility. However, chaos magicians challenge this view. For them, both karma and the law of return are cultural and psychological constructs, not unbreakable universal laws. From this perspective, these beliefs only have influence over those who believe in them. In other words, if you do not believe in karma, it will not affect you. This implies that the chaos magician is free to act without fear of mystical repercussions, seen as inevitable in other traditions. But is this freedom as simple as it seems? The relativism of chaos magic does not mean the absence of consequences, but suggests that they do not need to be supernatural. Instead, they can manifest in psychological or social forms. Imagine a chaos magician convinced that karma does not apply to them and thus decides to manipulate people to achieve their goals. Even if they do not suffer spiritual punishment, they may face consequences such as loss of trust, resentment, and social isolation. This raises an essential question. Can we really escape the consequences of our actions, or do they simply take different forms? The rejection of karma and the law of return perfectly exemplifies how chaos magic challenges traditional norms. By disregarding these laws, the practitioner takes full responsibility for their own actions without relying on external concepts to guide their morality. This perspective can be liberating But it also requires a high level of self-awareness and maturity. Without a solid ethical foundation, the risk of power abuse becomes significant. After all, if there is no higher force regulating our actions, what prevents us from following our darkest impulses? On the other hand, this view allows for a more pragmatic approach to magic. By seeing beliefs as tools rather than absolute truths, the chaos magician can adapt their value system according to the context and needs of the moment. This flexibility is one of the great advantages of this tradition, but to what extent can it be taken before it becomes destructive? What happens when someone constantly changes their values and beliefs to shape reality without any ethical commitment? Many critics of chaos magic argue that this approach can lead to irresponsible and even dangerous behavior. Without a clear moral structure, the practitioner can become insensitive to the needs and feelings of others, treating people as mere instruments to achieve their own goals. In the long run, this can lead to a profound emotional emptiness and a disconnection from one's own identity. But does this unrestricted freedom not come at too high a cost? While some see this relativism as an opportunity to explore deeper layers of the mind and consciousness, a dilemma arises. If we believe that karma is just a mental construct, then we can also believe that we are capable of rewriting our own reality, abandoning the idea of being subject to an immutable cosmic law. This would transform us into active creators of our lives. But are we all prepared to take on this responsibility? After all, what does it really mean to be the architect of one's own reality? The debate between karma and chaos magic reflects an even broader issue: the relationship between morality and magical practice. Do we need an external ethical code to guide us, or are we capable of developing our own moral compass? Many chaos magicians believe that it is possible to act ethically without depending on fixed belief systems, basing their actions on principles such as empathy and mutual respect. But in a system that rejects absolute truths, how can we concretely define what empathy or respect is? Another issue that arises is the psychological impact of ignoring karma and other spiritual laws. For some people, the idea that their actions will have future consequences serves as a brake, helping them avoid impulsive or destructive behavior. By abandoning this notion, the chaos magician frees themselves from these restrictions, but also runs the risk of falling into patterns of hedonism and selfishness. But does absolute freedom really make us happier or just leave us emptier? Even if karma is seen as a cultural construct, it has a real effect on those who believe in it. The human mind is powerful, and our beliefs directly shape our perception of reality. Therefore, by discarding karma, the chaos magician is not only rejecting a belief, but reprogramming their own mind to operate under a new set of rules, or perhaps with no rules at all. This process of mental reprogramming is known as metaprogramming, one of the most intriguing and challenging aspects of chaos magic. Are we truly ready to abandon all the rules and completely rewrite our view of reality? To what extent is this freedom a blessing? And to what extent can it become a curse? Metaprogramming allows the practitioner to alter their own beliefs and perceptions to shape reality around them. Unlike other esoteric traditions that see beliefs as unquestionable truths, chaos magic treats them as flexible tools. If our beliefs determine the way we perceive the world, then altering them can completely modify the very reality we experience. But how does this process work in practice, and what are its risks? The central idea of metaprogramming is that the human brain operates like a computer, where beliefs function as installed programs. When a practitioner engages in this process, they begin questioning these programs, trying to identify which beliefs are shaping their perception of reality. Then they alter these beliefs, replacing them with new ones that are more aligned with their goals. For example, if someone believes they do not deserve success, this belief can sabotage their actions unconsciously. By identifying and reprogramming it, the practitioner can transform their mindset and consequently their reality. A common technique within chaos magic is the temporary adoption of contradictory beliefs. The practitioner may, for example, choose to believe in a specific deity during a ritual to access their power, but discard this belief immediately after the ritual. This practice challenges the conscious mind and allows access to altered states of perception.
But are we all prepared to question our fundamental beliefs in such a radical way? The freedom to rewrite one's own reality can be exciting, but it also brings immense weight. After all, by discarding all the rules, are we really freeing ourselves or just plunging into chaos? In traditional spiritual practices, beliefs are seen as fixed pillars that offer stability and a sense of order. However, in meta-programming, these pillars are in constant reconstruction. The Chaos Magician learns to dismantle and reconfigure their beliefs as needed, which can be incredibly liberating. This flexibility allows adaptation to any situation, but it also comes at a cost. The human mind seeks stability, and when this stability is repeatedly shaken, a profound sense of disorientation or even an existential crisis may arise. To avoid this internal collapse, many practitioners turn to techniques that help maintain mental balance. One of the most effective strategies is intensifying self-awareness, where the magician observes their own thoughts and beliefs with extreme attention. This allows them to identify negative patterns before they become a bigger problem. But this practice requires a high level of discipline and self-knowledge, something not everyone can easily achieve. Another common approach is using mantras and affirmations to reinforce new beliefs. For example, if a practitioner wants to strengthen their confidence in their ability to manifest changes in reality, they may repeat phrases like, "I am the architect of my destiny." This constant reinforcement helps to install new beliefs on a subconscious level. But to what extent can we trust affirmations if we are constantly changing what we believe? Metaprogramming also involves using altered states of consciousness to reconfigure the mind. Trance, deep meditation, and even psychedelic substances are some of the tools used to access deeper layers of the subconscious. In an altered state, the conscious mind relaxes its barriers, allowing new ideas and beliefs to be implanted more easily. However, this practice is not without risks. Without proper preparation, the practitioner may emerge from these states, feeling lost or even traumatized. And here arises one of the most intriguing questions about metaprogramming. How far can we go without completely losing touch with reality? If we constantly change our beliefs, there is a risk of dissolving any sense of identity or objective truth. When everything is just a tool, what remains as the foundation for our existence? Many practitioners end up confronting this doubt intensely, diving into a crisis where the only question left is, what is real? Some chaos magicians believe this crisis is not a mistake, but rather a necessary stage for spiritual evolution. By dismantling all their beliefs, the practitioner is forced to confront the primordial void of reality, a state of pure potential where nothing is definite. This process is often called the ego death, a transformative experience in which all illusions are dissolved, giving rise to a new understanding of oneself and the universe. However, for those who are unprepared, the ego death can be a terrifying experience. Without a sense of identity, the practitioner may feel lost, disconnected from reality and the people around them. To avoid this collapse, many chaos magicians adopt grounding practices, such as daily meditation and the use of personal symbols, which help maintain a sense of stability while exploring the limits of the mind. But the big question remains. Does having the power to shape our own beliefs really make us freer, or just trap us in an endless cycle of self-questioning? The answer may depend on the level of self-knowledge and spiritual maturity of each individual. For some, metaprogramming is a path to self-transformation and awakening. For others, it can become a mental labyrinth, where each new belief just generates more doubts and uncertainties. In the end, metaprogramming challenges us to reflect on what it truly means to have control over our own minds. Are we really willing to deconstruct all our certainties in search of a deeper truth? Or do we prefer the security of fixed beliefs, even if they limit us? While Chaos Magick rejects rigid structures, many practitioners choose to incorporate contact with entities into their rituals. These entities can be archetypes, such as gods and ancestral spirits, or even creations of the mind itself, known as servitors in Chaos Magick.